What's up, gamers? Hope you're doing great today. I want to talk to you guys about some tips that I have been giving over and over to the people I've been coaching over at the Patreon. As most of you know, I am coaching there, but I wanted to give you guys here on YouTube, everyone out there, some value from it too, because ideally I take the things I learn here, figure out what the most common problems are, and then try to share that along so everyone can benefit. But also this can be helpful for the people that want to come in and start taking coaching with me. We can just get these things solved before they even come through. So this is hopefully a win for everyone. If you like this kind of stuff, let me know. I want to kind of try and do more of this, but not interested, don't have to worry about it. But anyway, let's go ahead and get right into the video. The first thing, which I think is probably the most important thing, it's probably the piece of advice I just jump to more often directly than almost anything else. It is play the opponent's character. So many people come to me and they say, well, I don't know what to do about Fox on a platform. I don't know what to do about Falcon on a platform. I don't know what to do about Falco spamming laser. Or I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get Sheik. Like Sheik's throwing needles. Sometimes she's in a weird spot. And I always tell them, well, have you tried playing the character? And they almost always say no. I haven't considered it. And I think this is so helpful because it lets them know what the character really wants and where they really want to be, and then they can do that really annoying laser thing that Falco does, or they can do those dash dances that Marth likes, or they can back air for a while as Puff, or whatever it is that's really bugging you. You can just do that, and then you can figure out, okay, well, how are these other people that I'm playing against unranked, or these other players, how are they beating it? How is this strategy losing? And I think when you start doing that, you start learning, about the character's weaknesses just generally too. Like, oh, someone's not only punishing me when I do this, but they're punishing me for being slow with Puff, or they're punishing me for overdoing laser, and then they're hitting me on my laser startup when I'm Falco, or whatever the case is. And not only is it good to learn how to beat the character, but you can pick up some skills to bring back to your main. So if you are maybe a less mobile character, you learn a little more about movement from playing like someone like Fox, Marth, or Falcon. You learn more about zoning by playing like Marth or Sheik or Puff, or even Peach. And so you learn more about projectiles playing Falco or Sheik or Peach in certain ways. So I find that there's something valuable in a lot of different ways from playing different characters, skills you can bring back to your main. I mean, for my own personal example, I can tell you that my movement with Falco did get a lot better after I played Marth. And my concept of shield pressuring when I did need to be fast with Marth could be stronger already because I already had some of that with Falco. So there's really no downside to playing more characters. You guys might think, oh, well, that doesn't make sense. Doesn't PPMD usually say to main one character? That's right, I do. But in terms of playing secondaries, learning the cast, I think is really good, and it really is only beneficial. But I also kind of just think one other advantage to just playing your opponent's character, or whatever character frustrates you, gives you a break from your main. And sometimes, and people talk about the value of breaks, and I do want to do a video about that too. But because you're still playing melee, you're kind of taking a break without taking a break, which is pretty good. So you spend time learning another character, these other ideas come in, you get to maybe break some old habits, and that's all pretty awesome, I think. So that's the first one, play your opponent's character or the character that's frustrating you. Number 2, and this is more of one that I go to when people say, I want to know how to develop a game plan, but I don't know where to start. My response usually is figure out where you want to be and where your opponent wants to be. So this is kind of, to me, the basis of a game plan, at least in terms of talking about neutral. So you want to figure out where you can be, where the best place to be is where no one can hit each other, where the best place is for you to be, and the safe place for your opponent, and where your opponent wants to be. So 2 things for you, 2 things for your opponent, total of 4 things. Now, let's say you're Falco and you want to figure out where the safe place is. So usually it's going to be at a place where you can get your laser out reliably. So you're going to need to be a little bit farther away from your opponent, and you can react to anything they do when they try to come in and hit you. And a really good place to be is when you are landing a laser directly on your opponent, because then you can link into shine, or you can do a mix up there like that, or, you know, a lot of those sorts of things. You get the frame advantage from the laser, in other words. And so you would have to think, can you always get there? Maybe not. Maybe you do go for it. But you can also think, how can you abuse that and get into other really good positions where you might not be able to get shine, but you can get other advantages. So you think about how to get from this safer place farther away to a closer place where you have more of an advantage with the laser out. And so then you have to think, where does your opponent want to be? Where is a better place? Where is their best place? And you think about it like that. So you could even say there are 6 positions. Safe place, better place, best place. And the better place is usually often, you know, good enough for a lot of characters. So I think that is that's going to be your basis for your neutral, and that's going to be a good place to start. This is still nebulous, but I will give you guys a more concrete example at the end. So kind of stick with me here if you can. The third point is take the opponent's mindset. So this one I don't always say to people directly. In fact, I almost never say it to people directly, but I'm going to tell you guys this is pretty much what I'm telling a lot of people. A lot of people don't think like you do, or like I do, or whatever, right? Everyone has their own view. And so this is something that trips up a lot of people in Melee. So if you're a more aggressive player, you're like, why are these people always playing so lame? Why don't they ever want to come in when I get near them? If you're a more passive player, you're like, well, these people are overwhelming me. You know, what am I supposed to do about this? Why, when I stop them, do they keep coming in? Like, it's hard to understand. They're like, well, I don't understand why people are making these choices. And if they finish the sentence, it would be because I wouldn't make these choices, right? So I think it's so important to find value in what these players do, and how there is, if it's tripping you up, there is something that's probably very good about what they're doing, in fact. I find if I'm saying this directly to someone that this is about taking the opponent's mindset, there is usually also someone saying, man, I just get so frustrated when this happens, or I get so angry, and then I get down on myself because this, you know, I just feel like this shouldn't work, right? And then it becomes more of a direct thing. But again, it doesn't have to. I think as long as you're trying to figure out that your opponent is a reasonable person that has a reason for making their decisions, and you try to really inhabit their mind, I think that makes things a lot better for you. And you can say, well, why would they make these decisions? Maybe it's not about who they are as a person. Maybe they're using percent. Maybe they're using stage position, right? You could even go with things in the game if you can't figure out like an archetype they would fall into. But the point is, there is a reason, and the more you can try to understand that, the better off you're going to be. So again, the 3 points are: play the opponent's character, figure out where you want to be and where your opponent does, and you want to take the opponent's mindset. Now, of course, 1 and 3 are kind of related. And of course, if you are playing your opponent's character, it is going to help you take more of their mindset. So they are kind of related, but they're very different in how they can kind of feel sometimes. But I wanted to give you guys a practical example. And because I get asked so much in my coaching sessions about Fox's full hop, so I'm going to do a video on that eventually too. But we're going to at least give you the overview of how to apply these points to Fox's full hop. So, of course, number 1, if someone's saying, I don't know what to do about Fox's full hop, I go, have you played as him? And they might say, yeah. And I might say, did you spam full hop? And they might say, and they usually say no. And so play as Fox if this is something that frustrates you, and just full hop, just only full hop, and just it's really obvious and people know it's coming. And then if you're like, okay, well, now it's too obvious, I'm getting red, then you can mix it up a little bit. But the point is, you do that so that you know what really beats it and you can see what that looks like. And so you're figuring out where you need to be. So if you want to figure out, okay, I'm going to play aggressive Fox, I need to figure out exactly how far away can my opponent be where I can barely hit them? How far away can they be where I could hit them if they tried to move away? What kind of fakes can I do? Like, can I move in and double jump? Can I move in and pull back? Stuff like that. And and if I'm going to be defensive, where does my full hop back air hit? If I just drift in a little bit, where is it? Or if I drift out a little bit, what if I do more of a retreat where I wave land away? What does all of that look like for me? And where does my opponent need to be to react to it and punish it? Often you'll find that the opponent needs to be pretty close to you when you're full hopping to punish it, but it can still be pretty hard for them to react to it. So you can kind of see what that mix-up looks like as well. Now, for the final point, you take their mindset. When is this fox full hopping that I'm playing against a lot? If you have the first 2 points, what does fox do well? What is he looking for? What moves does fox want to win neutral with? But what moves do players like winning with? Like what feels good to a lot of fox players? Are there fox players that you play against that are frustrating, that always use the aggressive full hop? You're like, I could react to it, but I'm just not because I think they won't do it because it's weird, right? Is that what's getting you? Is it that they full hop and they mix up what they do after they land and it's not really the full hop itself? Is that what's tricking you? If so, then you need to think about, okay, well, if I'm a fox player and I know I can't hit them straight out, that I'm trying to be tricky, then how would I want to do that? And how is this person doing it? And how is that different? Is someone pulling back when they are full hopping aggressively, like they're faking it? Why would they do something like that? And I think, you can take all of these ideas, all of these questions, and take that back to the first bullet point. Play as fox, try out those things that you see that are weird, and then, figure out what people are doing to beat that. Unranked people will be trying to beat these options, or you can watch high-level melee, see what's beating these options, and go from there. But I will tell you that regardless of how well I can explain this or not, depending on your view, nothing is going to make more sense than experiencing it in the game. So I will say, no matter what, I really do encourage you to play fox or whatever character is frustrating you, and really try to experience that as much as possible, because there is something very different about having that in-game experience. But there's another thing that can really help you, and that is explaining it to someone else. Or in your mind, imagining there's a curious person that really wants to know about what you're talking about, and they're saying, okay, well, why does the fox only ever do a mix-up after landing from the full hop? Isn't the full hop itself really good? And you might be like, okay, well, yeah, but maybe I could beat out their move. And they say, well, do you ever try to beat out their move? And you'd be like, well, and then so you have some answers, but maybe you don't have some answers, right? And so you have to go and play against fox or play as fox or both, and to get them. And so I think, teaching, as many people have said, is a good way to solidify your knowledge, but it's also a good way to see if there are any holes in your knowledge too. So you kind of you have this process of accumulating the knowledge through these 3 bullet points. You have the way of testing it, and then you have the way of solidifying it and seeing if there are any weaknesses. So I hope this is a pretty complete process for a lot of you guys. Hopefully this will it'll make things easier for those that want to join coaching, or you guys are just trying to level up on your own. Much luck to you. I hope you guys can do great with that. There's so much resources out there now, and hopefully you guys enjoyed some of these tips. Let me know if you did. I'd like to do more things like this, but might do guides instead. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, gamers.